Now it's the time to move forward for our next keynote session on navigating Metaverse opportunities and challenges. For this, I would like to welcome on stage Mr. Lalatendu Das, who is the Chief Executive Officer, Performics India. Please welcome, sir. Stage is all yours now. You want this?
Can we load the slides, please? Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. Nice to see so many familiar faces. For the rest, I'm Lalatendu. I lead Performics, the largest performance marketing agency, pure play performance marketing agency in India. While I'm not helping clients grow their businesses, what I do is just watch out for the trends in the industry. And with that hat, I'm going to talk today about Metaverse. And we are going to cover this in 3 parts. One, let's reflect where we are when it comes to marketing or advertising the technologies available. How did we reach here, right? So that's part 1. Part 2, we're going to talk a little bit about what is Metaverse, what are the changes happening, and maybe then we'll end towards, in the last phase, what does it mean for people like us who are into branding and marketing? So first of all, let me start with my first assertion for today. Digital advertising is here to stay. I guess you all are converts, so I don't need to sell this to you, but the chart that I'm showing is the ratio, the percentage of digital in overall spend in India. And as any statistician here would say that if you get 6 consistent data points, which is showing a trend, it is a trend. So it is there. Many of the technologies that we take it for granted, I'm sure the people are here very much comfortable in using. I'm sure I'm missing few more. But what's important for us to reflect, how did we get here? These things we take for granted. So I'm going to take you back in the memory. Indulge me for a minute on that. This is 1991. This is the first web page created by Tim Berners-Lee, right? Everybody talks about cookie. 1994, by the way, when Lou Montelli introduced cookie, he did it for session management and he called it magic cookies. Somehow it became standard and now a problem. We're talking about cookieless, right? This is the first phone which came with internet. By the way, AT&T first invented with a phone with internet, but they never commercialized. They thought there is no value. Who is going to buy this? It's very bloody expensive. Then iPhone came and rest is history. Familiar? Anyone? People who probably the same age as mine probably would have seen this screen. I see many young people. It's probably before some of you started using computer, but this is the first time Google introduced AdWords, right? Which is now Google Words. By the way, before YouTube was bought by Google, this was the first video posted on YouTube. 18 seconds, and the video is Meet Me at the Zoo. Javed Karim is a co-founder of YouTube before he sold it to Google. And this, I guess you know. The point I'm making is, as you were living through this trend, it is very hard to really estimate or guess when that inflection point of a technology will come so that it becomes a mass media and everybody starts to use it, right? So let me start with my second assertion. Then what do we do? We do as marketers or leaders, right? People who use digital is based on your organization strategy, there would be experimentation. Some of you would be probably having a first mover advantage that you would like to go in and get in first, experiment, put your technology out there. Some of you might be a late mover or fast follower, whichever it is. There is this experimentation that keeps us in good stead, right? So similar change is happening now in internet. All that I showed you from 1990 to 2007, similar change is happening and internet is getting disrupted. And let me touch upon what are these changes. And I see it in 4 attributes. The way internet we know is fundamentally changing. Number 1, internet is getting decentralized. And all of you are very familiar with this walled gardens. I think we used that term 3 or 4 times today already. And that is getting a backlash from many of these idealistic engineers who are figuring out different ways, and blockchain is one of those which is going to totally decentralize how data is exchanged. Number 2, it is getting more immersive. The term XR I use, whether it is for AR or VR or MR, all that doesn't matter, but it's getting immersive. Intelligent, I don't need to explain. And number 2, it is getting to be much more ubiquitous, omnipresent, all this. And this term metaverse that we are seeing is a manifestation of all these changes that we are in middle of, right? So let's define what metaverse is. It's of course a 3D virtual world. It's a network of 3D virtual world, but there are 4 attributes which are very consistent in all metaverses. Number 1, the foundational characteristics. A, it has to be immersive, right? And it's 3-dimensional web. Gone are those 2-dimensional screens clicking, but it is very immersive. Second, it's real time. Third is what we call as user agency. This is the term to describe that the interaction between players is determined by computer and code, not any individual who is kind of setting policies and standards. That's what we call as user agency. And one which is not there yet, it has to be interoperable. Now, is this a philosophy? Is this an idea? I'm showing this chart here, which is from OpenSeas. These many metaverses, and actually there are quite a few, all right? And these are the all-time most used metaverses already active. In India, if you look, Decentraland and Sandbox, very much heavily used. WazirX and all, I think they're very much active in both these, and quite a few, right? You can always check out OpenSeas, and that they give a tracking of all the metaverses which are active. Now, what is happening on Metaverse, right? There are multiple use cases already active, be it digital twins for surgeries. Second is Fashion Week, already active, happening. Infrastructure building being tested on Metaverse. Meta's Horizon Workroom here, right, in workplace management, as well as gaming, which is, again, this is where everything started. So all these are happening. And this is one estimate is this year in 2020, around $120 billion has gone into this space. And there is a research by McKinsey, there is an estimate here which McKinsey presented that in by 2030, the value that Metaverse is going to create is 5 trillion. Now, let's look a little bit more data. What does this 5 million mean? Which industries? And this is one more chart. And what we are showing here, there are certain industries who are already ahead on Metaverse. And incidentally, those are the industries which are also betting heavily. That's the y-axis if you see where people are betting on. And interestingly, you would probably say consumer, AFL and retail, that's kind of intuitively we get it. But there are a few other industries like media, energy, they're also getting in very heavily into the space. Now let's look at some data. What does it mean for us as people who are into brands and brand managers or advertising? So let me start with some data. Some research here done by IntelliMetaverse Consumer Report. What this chart is showing you is what is the propensity of people to actually get into virtual world for certain kind of activities. So for example, shopping and purchasing, there is a lot of openness, right? If I get infrastructure in Metaverse, I'll do it. As you can read through, I probably will not go through all this, but this gives a very good insights on where the use cases are. Similarly, this is another stats. Is it just for fun, or is there money to be made? Nearly 80% of people who are active in Metaverse have made at least one purchase. So there is transaction already happening as we see it, all right? Now, what does it mean? So we in Publicis Group have kind of developed some thinking on how we as brand managers can approach Metaverse. The way we see it, there are 4-step process. First of all is we need to find who are the people, right? People who are engaging in all these metaverses, be it Sandbox, Decentraland and all that. And as you get into these, we'll give you an example right now, but as you get in, how do we know these consumers better? And how do you make sure they're opting in to share more data with you? And then the creatives to engage, and eventually once you convert, how do you own those customers to interact better, right? So here is an example of Samsung. I think they have done all this. I think in interest of time, let me just quickly play the video. I think it's self-explanatory. Samsung launched this 387X. That's their standard metaverse platform. I hope this plays. And just moving on in interest of time, but what you are seeing is a 2D version of a 3D immersive experience, so it probably won't be coming out, but do check out if you have an opportunity to get to 837X Samsung. Another data point, what are the capabilities that institutions are already investing when it comes to Metaverse? And if you see business model and product development comes out on the top, something for us to reflect on. And okay, let me just try to wrap up very quickly and get some questions. I'll end with this thought that there are few challenges also in a Metaverse. It's not all ready out there. I have tried to list few things, be it market speculations when the MFT valuation comes, be it the measurement, sustainability. By the way, there's an interesting nugget. To mine 1 Bitcoin, you consume as much energy as you consume to process 86,000 credit card transactions. So that's the amount of energy consumption we are talking about in this world, and that needs to be fixed. Otherwise, the sustainability is not going to work. And identity and brand safety, given this is a new area and there is hardly any regulations. So I'll just complete my thought here to say that on 2 or 3 main assertions, we are now living in a transition phase of the web, and Metaverse is already here. That's number 1. Number 2, this is the time for us to really experiment, and based on your organization strategy that you want to play, it's time for people to make some calculated bets when it comes to Metaverse. So with that, I rest my case. Happy to connect offline and take if there are any questions at this point.
Thank you so much for such wonderfully presenting the keynote. We're really glad to have you here. Can we have a loud round of applause once again for Mr. Lalatendu Das?